Good morning, everyone, and good morning, everyone who's at home joining us from their couch, from their bed, wherever you are. Thanks to Reverend Richard and Reverend Ann for inviting me to deliver the message today. Many years ago, when I was in the order, I gave the sermon every Sunday. It's been 38 years since the last time I did that, so don't mind me that I lock myself here and pay attention to what I'm talking about. Reverend Ann also asked me to say something about the order because one wonderful thing about unity is that we accept people from all different faiths, from all different practices, and they're all leading to God. We don't need to talk about the differences, they're all leading to God. So I belonged to a mystic Christian seminary for 6 years in my 20s, the Holy Order of Mans. The word Mans is an acronym for Greek words. We don't have to worry about that. But men and women were ordained equally, are still ordained equally within the order. The order was founded in the late 60s by a Christian teacher and a Sufi master, not your everyday Christians. Jesus is our way shower, but we also studied the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, and the traditions of ancient orders like the Essenes, the Rosicrucians, like cloistered monasteries with monks in robes with long beards. I know you can see that. We were studying all of that, but the times have changed. Those mysteries need to be open to all. All of the spiritual tools need to be open to all, not just wise old men with long beards and dirty robes. We need to be within the community and bringing Christ into the community. We all work day jobs, interacting all day in the secular world and returning to a communal house each evening to join together in classes, meditation, and prayer. It wasn't all work and no play. We were a pretty rowdy bunch. Pretty much everybody who joined the order was a rebel of some kind. I was ordained a life vow brother at 24, pledging vows of poverty, purity, obedience, humility, and service. What draws me to unity is that we respect all names for God and all paths to God. There are a lot of spiritual groups with differing practices, but all with the same goal, connection to God. Today, I'd like to talk about service. As a member of Unity Renaissance, you're asked to serve the community as an usher, as a prayer chaplain, on the hospitality committee. All these actions are important to your connection with this community. You get to serve your peers. But let's take our beliefs and conviction to the streets, out of this building and into our everyday experiences. Everyone here is active in your faith. That's why you're here. In the order, we had a function called Going on Patrol. We walk the streets any time of day, making ourselves available for anyone. No preaching, just available for prayers, counseling, or just listening to someone, whatever a person needs. Back then, we dressed in clerics, and that drew people to us. You know, the men wore a black suit with a white collar. The female priests and sisters wore a black dress with a white collar. A lot of denominations wear that garb. It's recognizable to the public, and for the person wearing it, it sets you up for service. But we don't dress like that anymore. Now we're undercover Christians, spreading blessings in disguise. There are dozens of times every day when we interact with strangers. Each one is an opportunity to grant a blessing. Jesus walked among the people, healing and teaching. And he said, "All these things that I do shall ye do also." We need to be active in our faith. The other day I was heading into a clinic, and as I headed in, there was a gentleman coming out. He was a senior, and he was bent over. He looked pretty sad. He just had a weary look about him. It was an opening you could drive a truck through. He was standing there with a Dallas Cowboys cap on, and that was my cue. As he walked towards me, I went, "Cowboys?" And he said, "Yeah, Cowboys. They're America's team." And I said, No. The Philadelphia Eagles are America's team. Philadelphia was the first capital of the United States, and we have the Liberty Bell. And he looked at me and he said, "Yeah, and you cracked it. He got this huge breath of air, puffed up his chest, walked tall, and chuckled as he walked away. It had changed his moment, okay? He was reveling at his own wit. How many times have you thought, God, I wish I had thought to say that? And he had said it, and it was right there. Who knows how that moment rippled into the rest of his day? I called on the Father to bless him as we parted. There's a song from the Broadway play Wicked called For Good. The first line is, I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason. Every moment is an opportunity to serve. Okay, a show of hands. Who here has heard of the phrase we tell our children, look for the helpers? Who's heard that? Well, the rest of you, now you've heard it. And here's the reality. You're the helpers. You are the helpers. You meditate and pray. You come to services and fill up on inspiration. It's up to you to spread it around like fertilizer. Spread it around to do any good. Remember, we transform lives that transform the world. When you're standing in line at Food Lion, looking for an opening to connect with someone, you can remark to a parent that they have a smart child, or comment on a snappy hair color or a snappy outfit someone is wearing. Any way that you can start a conversation, any way to have a small moment of smiling with that person. I choose to make myself a target. That's why I dress like this. It's an easy moment for anyone to comment on my shoes, on my tie. You know, what kind of a goofball are you that you dress like this? You know, but that's an opening. Now we're talking. And what does that lead to? We're at least standing with each other, next to each other, talking. You carry Christ consciousness. What about the phrase about the woman touching the hem of Jesus' garment and being healed? You carry a robe of Christ consciousness as you walk. And when you stand next to someone and talk to them and bless them, they're feeling that. They might think that you're just a nice person. You seem to be kind, you're dressed well, you talk nicely. They are being blessed with Christ consciousness because you are carrying it. We are attractive. We carry Christ's light. We carry Christ consciousness that raises the vibe of any room we enter. It raises the stakes of a personal connection. It's very real, and it's very powerful. Some of you might be uncomfortable chumming up to a stranger, so no worry. Just smile and bless them. And it doesn't take fancy words. It doesn't take any kind of a special prayer. Just bless them, Father, is enough. Anything to bless them. Okay? I was stopped at a light behind a car yesterday with a sticker announcing that the driver is a Marine mom. Well, that was an opportunity for me to bless that mom, to bless their child, to bless their family, and help them have hope that their child is going to come back to them alive after they've served in the military. It's an opportunity. But do these casual blessings really work? Of course they do. According to your belief. It says that very clearly in the Bible. These things happen according to your belief. Looking at all of you, you already believe that prayer works or you wouldn't be here. I'm sure there's another place you could be today. You could be bowling or playing bingo or going to lunch or whatever, but you're not. You're here. You're being given something that you need to give as well. To those who are given much, much is expected. So bless everyone. There's divinity in everyone you see. One of the things I'm learning in my training as a minister is to look objectively at everyone. So regardless of what someone is doing, how they look, how they present themselves, what they might be saying, they are divine. They are divine. they are a child of God. So look past the behavior. Bless them. And every time you bless anyone, you are blessed. It just works that way. The blessing is moving through you. Of course it touches you. I was trying to think of a way to combine that into a smart little phrase, and what came to me was, you can't wash the dog without getting wet. And then I thought, well, maybe that doesn't quite belong in church, so how about give and it's given back to you? All day long. I have fun. I have a lot of fun. Anyway, I have a fun habit of sitting in Starbucks, drinking coffee, and reading or writing. It's an opportunity to bless everyone who rushes in to claim their caramel macchiato and a cake pop for their kids. I bless each one. And I always pray for the safety of each child. They're vulnerable, they're innocent, and they need protection. And once again, it's an opportunity to serve. The Starbucks I go to is my favorite because there are a dozen seats at tables all along a long padded bench. So you end up sitting next to others on both sides, and you pretty much stay to yourself and do what you're doing, but you notice what other people are doing, and it often leads to a short conversation. The number of times other people have preached to me, I don't preach, but the times people have preached to me about their faith in God while I'm sitting there blessing them, and they have no idea that I'm doing that, It's quite interesting. Anyway, most folks sit for a while, working on a laptop, reading a book. It's a chance to make a connection. I recently spoke with a group of 3 young women who were sitting working together on their laptops, cramming for school. I wouldn't dare walk up to a couple of teenage women and tell them that they are blessed. In today's society, they'd probably think I was some crazy old man and turn to run. But I can approach the same teens and praise them for working on their studies. I told them that I'm a retired college professor, that I was impressed by their work ethic, and I was sure that they would have successful lives. Each of them lit up like a Christmas tree, thankful for the praise and reveling in a positive moment with a stranger. Little did they know that I was calling for the Father to bless and strengthen them with perseverance. Service. Service. Yesterday, I went to Starbucks to work on this message. A young man was sitting with his laptop open and a book to the side. Wanting to give him privacy, I stayed focused on the other customers and on my own writing. But he walked away to place an order, leaving his laptop behind and open. I'm a sneaky devil. I had to peek. He was working on a sermon. The book to the side was a Bible, and we had a wonderful 5 or 10 minutes of sharing with each other who we are and how we were preparing to give a message and what it meant to us in our lives. You can also serve by imagining. You see a person with a limp or on crutches, see them whole. See them walking with strength. Imagining is prayer, and it's very real, not just dreamlike. When you see the person in full health, you are accepting that reality, and spirit is moved to fulfill your prayer. So see them healthy, walking with vigor. You can send that blessing in a quick minute. You're not too busy. You got plenty of time for this. You've probably heard that we are like a radio station. We send and receive thoughts shared with others all day. It's the same with light. See that person bathed in light. Just see it. Really see it. Imagine it. One of my teachers coined the word imagine action. By imagining, you not only see the change, you affect the change with God's blessing. Imagine action. Then there's family. I have 3 sisters, 3 lively, fun, energetic sisters. But they have a habit of including something to hate in just about every conversation. They're not hateful women. They're just used to that tired old phrase, oh, I hate it when that happens. And I see them do that. They don't just say, I hate it when that happens. You can see their attitude change. I hate it when that happens. Sometimes it's about something that happened in traffic that day or something that happened with cooking, but oftentimes it's something from 5 years ago, 15 years ago that they haven't let go of. I'm not going to try to change my sisters. They're going to roll their eyes and, look at me askance. So I pray for them. It's a perfect opportunity for a blessing, to see them in their normal, happy, and supportive selves. Then there's filling your time, the empty moments. We've all become quick draw artists like the Wild West, reaching for their six guns. We're reaching for our cell phones. We fill every empty minute with whatever. What is Kim Kardashian wearing? What's happening with somebody's trial? Who cares? Maybe instead you could fill your time with attention to the people around you, with prayer. You're in service. Practice. And the more you practice, the closer you get to the source, because you're tapping into the God source all the time. In the Bible, it's mentioned that we should pray ceaselessly. That's sort of a confusing phrase. Pray ceaselessly. The idea conjures up images of yourself on your knees with your head bowed. But my teacher helped me see another angle. She said that praying ceaselessly is rooting every action in your experience of the divine. When you realize that so many of your daily functions are indeed service, making your kids breakfast, washing their clothes, caring for a sick or needy friend, in each action you're serving a child of God. That is praying ceaselessly. Two of our peers right now could use your prayers. Our beloved bass player, David Kennedy, had an injury at work. I've been seeing him whole and walking with strength ever since. Please do that for David Kennedy. He needs your prayers. He comes here and serves all the time. Serve him. Reverend Ann's wife, Deborah, is recovering from knee surgery. She couldn't be here with us today. Get well, Deborah. She needs your prayers. And then there's the ministers who take care of us every day. Reverend Richard Bunch, Reverend Richard McDeasy, Reverend Ann, and Reverend Claudia, who's going to be coming and serving you. They need your prayers. They are serving you. They are spending their weeks and their quiet moments thinking of you and praying for you. Pray for them. Lastly, I'd like to spend a moment on a man whose entire life was service, Mr. Rogers. Fred Rogers was a Presbyterian minister who spent his life reaching out to children. Besides working in the film industry, I was a college professor, teaching filmmaking to aspiring artists. The young students all wanted to make slasher films, horror stories with nothing but mayhem and blood splatters everywhere. But I had a different idea. I had dozens of energetic students and tens of thousands of dollars worth of film equipment and class hours that I had to fill. So I reached out to the community, offering to make videos for nonprofits, a service that we could provide at no cost to senior centers and other nonprofits of the like. It was a way to introduce the students to the concept of serving others within their work, to see someone else's need and to act on it. Well, the Lord works in mysterious ways, and I got a call from the activities coordinator in the pediatric oncology department of a local hospital. Pediatric oncology is children with cancer. She asked if we could make a music video for the kids on the ward. We were thrilled to oblige. For the next 3 years, we partnered with the hospital, making videos of the kids in costumes, dancing around the halls of the cancer ward, with their doctors and nurses dressed in tutus and superhero capes, dancing along with them as they all lip-synced to the music that the children had chosen. Filming was a blast, but it was a continuing gift as the kids and their families had videos of themselves to watch repeatedly, and that brought them cheer each time they came in for a treatment. In the first week that we were working with them, I was prepping to do a shot, and there was this little boy about 5 years old, tiny little guy. He had on a baseball cap that was about 10 sizes too big. It just sort of flopped on top of his head, And he walked over and picked up a hammer and rang a gong. I was like, what's that? And I found out this is something common in cancer wards. When you are cleared of cancer, you get to ring the gong. This boy was 5 years old, and he had survived cancer. It was quite an eye-opening for the students as well, because they wanted to become Steven Spielberg or whoever, and go out there and make a bunch of money and do their art. And here they were doing their art, but serving at the same time. In fact, the nurses came to us at one point and said, you probably haven't planned for this, but we've had numerous children die recently, and we would like to do a moment for them. And so I'll never forget my students and myself all standing around with cameras and microphones while the nurses felt their love for those children and released some balloons. Everyone on my crew was crying. We were all crying. It helped them to see more than themselves. The movie about Fred Rogers with Tom Hanks was released around that time, and I was touched by how Mr. Rogers attended to children. He was always in service. A casual view of Fred Rogers' show gives the impression of a kid's show, ABCs and numbers, helping the kids learn. But I looked deeper and found that it was much more. He was teaching kids how to live with songs like, "What do I do with the mad that I feel when I feel so mad that I could bite?" And at the end of the song, there's a statement a child can make to themselves, that they can stop, they can control their behavior. It lets the kids know that they have choices. They can stop before hurting someone. When President Kennedy and Dr. King were killed, Mr. Rogers spoke to the kids about assassinations because he realized the children were experiencing their parents crying for days, and they needed to understand why. There's also a lovely book about Mr. Rogers entitled The Good Neighbor. I learned the essence of another of my vows from Fred Rogers. When approached by a child, he would listen, set his own needs aside, and truly listen. Listening is central to humility, absolutely central. So when I speak of meeting someone at Food Lion or standing at the pump, the gas pump, wherever it is, quieting yourself and seeing what is their need. Do they need to just blow off some steam about something that happened at home? Do they want to share the fact that they are Christian or godly loving persons of one kind or another? Just stopping and listening. It is service. It absolutely is service. So, for today's meditation, I'd like to turn to something that Mr. Rogers did. If you've seen the movies, one of the things he did with people was he would ask them to be silent. Take a minute and just think of those people who loved you and supported you to get you to where you are today. So we're going to do that. If you're comfortable with it, close your eyes. But think of the people who loved you to get you where you are. Just spend a minute on that. And now bless them. Bless them. They have blessed you, and here you are. Bless them. So practice. The more you bless others, the more you are blessed. And so it is.
Spirit, flow through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding peace. Show, Spirit, show through me as I